At the borders of northern Canada, two prospectors had gone into the district, which at that time was still uncharted and unsurveyed, to prospect for precious metals and radium. They were both doctors of engineering and science, and had been sent with very elaborate equipment from one of the large national mining corporations. Owing to the inaccessibility of the region, they adopted a plan for reaching it quickly. They had flown across the two ranges of mountains from Alaska, and when they arrived at the Rocky Mountains range, they found the altitude so high that their plane could not fly over the range. The pilot had to bring them down on a little lake outside. The plane then returned, but was unable to reach the outside world because of shortage of fuel. The pilot had to leave it on a waterway and trudge over the mountains to civilization. The two prospectors undertook to carry their equipment and provisions over the Rocky Mountains range into the interior district where they were to prospect. They found the distance across the plateau to be about 100 miles and the elevation ranging up to 9,000 feet. While they had provisions and equipment to stay 2 years, they found it would take all of this time to carry it across this plateau. They accordingly abandoned everything and made a forced march to the Liard River with hope that some expedition might be in that territory. While they were crossing the high plateau, one of the men nearly went blind, with so violent a pain in his eyes that he feared he would go insane. It was xerophthalmia, due to a lack of vitamin A. One day, he almost ran into a mother grizzly bear and her cubs. Fortunately, they did not attack him but moved off. He sat down on a stone and wept in despair of ever seeing his family again. As he sat there, holding his throbbing head, he heard a voice and looked up. It was an old Indian who had been tracking that grizzly bear. He recognized this prospector's plight, and while neither could understand the language of the other, the Indian, after making an examination of his eyes, took him by the hand and led him to a stream that was coursing its way down the mountain. Here, as the prospector sat waiting, the Indian built a trap of stones across the stream. He then went upstream and waded down, splashing as he came, thus drove the trout into the trap. He threw the fish out of the bank and told the prospector to eat the flesh of the head and the tissues back of the eyes, including the eyes. In a few hours, the prospector's pain had largely subsided. In 1 day, his sight was rapidly returning, and in 2 days, his eyes were nearly normal. With profound emotion and gratitude, the prospector realized that Indian had certainly saved his life.